Hello, everybody. I'm Lisa Pesnichak with the Dynamic Self Astrology, and I'm here, like I am every month, to give you the monthly overview. This month, we're looking at September 2025, and there's a lot going on. But before we jump into it, I just want to let you know, first of all, that I do this every month. So if you're interested, subscribe, like all of the things to the Dynamic Self Astrology on YouTube, Spotify, and soon to be on Apple Podcasts as well. But I also wanted to let you know that I just released a new episode on my podcast that I do every month, maybe sometimes more, with Sarah Beckner called Broadcast Astrology. And we just put out a new episode on the magic of midlife. We put together this episode with professional astrologer Melissa LaFera of Energetic Principles Astrology. So check it out, Broadcast Astrology. Again, it's on all of the platforms that you could possibly hope for. So check it out. All right. So let's dive into September 2025. After a doozy of a new moon towards the end of August, tensions are high and big shifts are inevitable. As September begins, we stand on the precipice of eclipse season. The winds of change are swirling, and the poles of gravity will loosen in order to facilitate the will of fate. My examination of the upcoming astrological themes for the United States indicates that September specifically looks to be when the furious buildup that has occurred since spring of 2025 reaches a point of heightening, redirection, consequences, and even fracturing. And the eclipses in September are likely to be the main driver for this new direction. So hold on tight, my friends, because September promises to ramp up the events that have been simmering for some time and even throw in some new plot twists that could uncover an entirely new point of focus. Buckle in, because as September begins, we are on the brink of both eclipse season and in the midst of a wily Uranus. Speaking of Uranus, Uranus stations retrograde at the beginning of the month on September 5th, and it does that at 1 degrees Gemini, 27 minutes. This could ramp up our nervous systems and create an overall tense environment. September begins with strong and nearly stopped Uranus, indicating that themes of revolution, trickery, and unpredictability could be at the forefront of the news and possibly in our personal lives. This event is also notable because it is Uranus's first station within the sign of Gemini. So we could see tumultuous weather, technological and transportation mayhem that feels a bit like a Mercury retrograde, as well as social calls for revolution. As an archetype, Uranus is the trickster, the clown, the holy menace. Many cultures integrate this trickster archetype into their rituals to honor the element of unpredictability that Uranus represents. Unpredictability and chaos are spiritual experiences, just as devotion and connection are. We need to be shaken out of our comfort zones on a regular basis and continually reawaken to the awe-inspiring magic that lives amongst us. If we are allowing the magic of Uranus to tickle our souls, then we can encounter deep healing laughter and the ever-present wow factor that we can so easily become numb to, especially in the world of adulting. On the world stage, we could see public pushback to the arguably heavy-handed activity that the government is partaking in. Protests, twists to the plan, and other cries for freedom and autonomy could be heightening during the first week and half of September. Look for plot twists from left field. Check to see what you have between 0 to 5 degrees of mutable signs. And those mutable signs include Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. If you have any planets or points at these degrees in particular, then you could be getting pulled into the trickster energy more notably. Regardless, everyone should make a point to calm the nervous system down at least once a day. That could include breathing, walking in the woods, moving intentionally, bringing deep gratitude into the moment, and so forth. Or maybe you could intentionally evoke the cosmic trickster and celebrate the moments of disarray and havoc for the magic that they uncover. Next up is the Pisces total lunar eclipse. which takes place on the 7th of September. It takes place at 15 degrees Pisces, 22 minutes, with the sun at the same degree in Virgo. This eclipse highlights a connection with Mercury, a flowing aspect to Jupiter, as well as a hard aspect, which is a semi-square with Pluto. Of the two eclipses that we will be experiencing, this one is actually relatively mellow. Although Uranus is not tying directly into this lunar eclipse, the resonance of its stationing retrograde just a couple days prior, as we just discussed, will still be felt. My hope for this lunar eclipse is an increase of compassion and visions for a bright future. We could see the developments in the financial realm possibly more optimistic than expected. However, there is a possibility that the optimism that arises at this time could end up being a bubble of some kind. This is coming from the larger context of astrological indicators that I have found. So don't take any abrupt financial risks, especially if the risk could be too good to be true and have that kind of air to it. This lunar eclipse is a really great time to engage in spiritual ceremony, prayer, and other types of devotion. Intuitive steps towards improving your health and wellness are also supported at this time. This is a beautiful moment to go within and listen to the wisdom of the subtle voices, whatever that means for you. No matter what your spiritual landscape looks like, take some time around this lunar eclipse to be quiet and receptive. The second eclipse occurs on September 21st and is a partial solar eclipse in Virgo. It is notable that this is the second Virgo new moon that will take place during the 2025 Virgo season. The first one in August was at 0 degrees, and this one is at 29 degrees. We have one at the very beginning and the very end of the sign. So at 29 degrees Virgo, 5 minutes, this is a very potent eclipse, kicking up a lot more dirt and drama than the Pisces lunar eclipse earlier in the month likely did. Most notably, the solar eclipse is positioned in opposition to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Although Saturn retrograded into Pisces earlier in the month, it is still very close with Neptune. There's only a 2 degrees separation. In addition, both the sun and the moon are connected via declination with Neptune. The Neptune influence can inspire great art and imagination in general, as well as a time of spiritual deepening. However, Neptune's influence also suggests that we could encounter disappointment in leadership, or leadership who utilizes smoke and mirror techniques in order to gain greater control over the general population. There could be a general feeling of overwhelm that no one really knows who or what to believe, which is a theme that has been very strong for much of 2025 and promises to continue into 2026. Whatever occurs within the context of this Virgo solar eclipse could affect the world at large. I say this because both the eclipse and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction are located within the range of the cardinal or world points or axes. And this includes 0 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Hence, it could be said that the solar eclipse is specifically triggering the areas of life that both Saturn and Neptune are in the midst of impacting. These topics include disintegration of structures and traditions, lack of boundaries, overwhelm, and even illness or weakness. In addition, the solar eclipse occurs almost exactly along the MCIC axis of the U.S. Sibley chart, suggesting that the U.S. could experience further dismantling of its governmental traditions and structures. The U.S. could find itself in a very vulnerable position and could be required to make decisions that may not serve the greater good of the American people in the long term. We could also see deeper financial cracks and fissures within the U.S. economy. The financial circumstances and concurrent events could be the vulnerability that the U.S. is up against at this time. I hope that the unraveling that looks to be occurring within the general time frame of this solar eclipse is not as tangible and long-lasting as it looks like it could be. The circumstances that arise for the U.S. and worldwide will eventually be surmountable and will be an opportunity for growth and new opportunities. But first, there is something that needs to be dismantled to make room for the new that is to come. Personally, take a look at what needs to go. I know I've been talking about this for a while, but it's still a theme with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction that's really ripe and being emphasized with this eclipse. This could be patterns, thoughts, relationships, jobs, etc. So much of this chart, as well as the astrology of 2025 in general, is pointing towards the end of something in the midst of a new beginning. If you have planets or points around 29 degrees of mutable, which includes Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, as well as early cardinal, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, then you are more likely to have been feeling both the influence of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, as well as bringing in and feeling the impact of the current Virgo solar eclipse that's occurring in September. So in closing, September is a poignant month when we are faced with excitement, uncertainty, and potentially distinct changes to the plan. Leave room this month for adjustments to be made. Allow for new perspective, time, or a different goal altogether. Schedule downtime to calm the nervous system, connect with the spiritual realm, and to reorient yourself. Keep as slim as a schedule as you can this month to minimize the risk of overwhelm and even burnout. This is true for all eclipse seasons. I've finally gotten to the point where I learned to generally empty out my schedule as much as I can. It doesn't always work, but I can feel it when I don't, and I'm always really grateful when I'm able to. Swirling intensity is bound to take over at some point this month. Making room each day for these energies to work their way through your life instead of fighting against them and being stuck in the chaos is a really good survival strategy during eclipse season. There is deep wisdom in eclipse portals, which we are now in. The hand of the creator, whatever you label that or see that it as, is closer at these times, allowing for fate to take the wheel for a moment. Although the events that occur may not look the way we wanted them to, remember to appreciate how little we actually understand as mere earthlings. We're all part of the spiritual tapestry. However, the whole point is to have this minimal perspective that we struggle with. So surrendering and seeing the beauty in that limited perspective, I think, can be very helpful. So much love to each and every one of you. I truly appreciate you watching, supporting, all of the things. I'll see you next month. Take care. Good luck in eclipse season. I'll see you on the other side.